What's up, everybody, and welcome back into the Play the Fight Song podcast. Another live show tonight. We got a big episode on deck for you. We are starting a series tonight, creating a college football diehard. We're going to teach Rease some things. Hopefully, he's better than we think. I have a lot of confidence in him underlying. I think he's going to get these college football logos because we're going to quiz them. We have 10 questions ready to go, 6 of them targeted right towards Rease, and then 4 for the squad. I obviously know them all, so I will not be participating, but it should be a fun one. We have a lot to cover tonight. We're going to go through some recent news. We're going to go through some transfers that you may have forgotten that are going to make a huge impact this year on the field. But the boys are here. Let's talk to them first. JP, how are we doing tonight? We ready to go and quiz some Rease on some logos that we obviously all know?
Absolutely. I think this is one of the things in the world. If you ask me like special talent, I think this is special talent, being able to name all the logos within college athletics. Not a lot of people are going to care, give a shit, or even really give you any credit for it, but it's still something you can brag about every once in a while. But I'm pumped, man. I'm here. Got my green on for the week, and then we'll rock it again Saturday for St. Patty's Day weekend. So pumped.
St. Patty's Day right around the corner. I obviously have a lot of confidence in the logos as well. I'm not so sure about Jake, though. Jake, do you think you're pretty good at logos, like FCS-wise, all the way down?
Yeah, this is all football too, Jake. Just FCS. There's not like random Mary Max thrown in there or something.
Thank God.
I would say that, FBA, like football logos, I'm solid on. Basketball, you might lose me a little bit. I think the real test for you two, being the pros that you say that you are, Parks and JP, is if you can name the town that these schools are in, then you might.
Yeah, some of that's
my star.
I get lost in the Northeast.
Yeah, but the problem is that's not so much brand. It's more the brand that I'll remember and care about. I don't care. It's like, I don't know where most of those are. Some of them, I think they stick out because they've played in like a March Madness or they've played in an important G5 game throughout the year. But the brand is the most important part. Let's go to Rease, though. Rease, how you feeling tonight? You're the one on the burner here.
I mean, I'm anxious. All I know is if this was a Who's That Pokemon contest, you all three would be smoked and I'd kick your ass. But
I don't know.
Flip tonight. We're guessing some logos of some college teams. So
everybody just left. We got some nerds in here. Come on, Pokemon. This is football.
Yeah,
we're
dude.
talking about.
Talk shit all you want. That's my childhood right there.
I was gonna say, Rease. It's 2024, man.
Rease still plays Pokemon.
I give a shit.
Yeah,
I'm 20. I will be 80 years old in my deathbed. I'll be like, who do I want to start with this time?
What's
I know the hack.
When is Pokemon 25 coming out?
There isn't a Pokemon 25. They haven't had to remake it because the first time they made it, it was already perfect. Didn't have to remake it.
Oh, they didn't even do a revamped or nothing.
They didn't have to revamp it. It's that good. It's that good.
Quite literally, he plays the original, like on his laptop. The original, like on the Game Boy Color kind of stuff.
Yeah, my dad used to coach girls basketball, and after middle school or elementary school, Schaefer, I'd go over there and I'd hide out under the bleachers, and I literally would sit there and I'd be playing on my little Game Boy Color, dude, the Game Boy Advance.
Dude, don't bother.
What color was your Game Boy Color?
Red.
Red. I had a green one. Mine was green.
I had Emerald, Sapphire, and Fire Red.
The SP is still one of the elite gaming consoles of all time.
I had a PSP. I wasn't a loser.
Those things.
I also got one of those too, Schaefer. Sorry for flexing all your money on us. Jesus.
To be honest, I have a serious question. What do you think would sell more? Because this is kind of an audience-based thing. Is it going to be College Football 25, or if they made a Pokemon revamped or a new version of Pokemon?
The Pokemon.
What would sell more?
Stop it.
The Pokemon. And there's not really a question.
It'd be Pokemon. Are you saying it?
Jacob, there's no way you can argue it. There's 1,000% Pokemon.
Jacob, I want you to think about these conventions people have for stuff, right?
There's some weird people out there, Jacob.
Yeah.
Are they? How would they even remake the game? Just a very
like
version, because it's so it was a decades from the last college football game.
You know, like
it's been 2 decades.
Yeah, on all the Game Boys, they have like everything is just like 2D. You know, like now when you have like when you're playing on Xbox and your little switches, like it's more like 3D dimensional stuff like that, kind of where it's your actual perspective and not just like looking from the ground up. Like you could remake that and that would fly off the shelves. I guarantee it.
I think we need to get on to something, fellas. We might have a business idea here.
I'm not smart enough for that idea. I can figure that out.
You learn how to program and do everything else, and I'll do everything else. I'll give
you a little seed money.
Yeah.
Let's stay on college football 25. We'll dive into recent news right now. We're going to lead it off with a little bit of college football 25 news. Came out last week that the College Football National Awards Association will not opt into the game. You will not be able to win several awards, among them the Bolitnikoff, the Maxwell. What do we think of this? It kind of sucks. I mean, we're still going to get generic awards, I would suppose, like Best Wide Receiver Award, but it kind of sucks. It just seems like a free advertising spot for these awards and this brand that they said no to. What do you think, JP?
I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I thought it was way too easy to win those awards anyway. Like if you're running a dynasty in like your Western Kentucky, for example, and you sim a couple years or something, you're going to have a random 75 overall linebacker win the Bud and Eric Award. Like it happens all the time. But the only thing that's going to hurt these awards is that people and kids that are growing up on it now aren't even going to know these awards exist for the most part, right? Like that's the bigger problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but I just think it's that's part of it. Like you made a decision to not put yourself out there. Like it's less people are going to acknowledge it. Now it's not going to get any less traction in the sports media world or people paying attention to all of it. People our age, maybe a little younger and older, obviously, but just kids aren't going to be like, dude, that guy won the Outland. Like that's how good he is. Like my guy won this. Like that's not going to happen.
That's a very good point. You do learn a lot through the sport growing up with this video game. That's a very good point. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I got to respect the decision of the awards association. I just heard that they wanted to focus on football, so they decided to opt out. They decided to opt out of this game to focus on football. I got to respect.
I wrote Jacob Michael Schaefer.
Dude, there is a the post with the quote that came out where he said, like, I play football on a field, not a screen. It's like, brother, I haven't seen you play football on the field in quite some time. Might as well take the cash. But that's a good little chirp there, Arch. Come on, opt in. You'll have a second chance. Rease, you ever won the Maxwell Award? You probably won't get to.
No, I agree though. It's good for knowledge for you just to learn stuff. But now I don't get to learn all the names of everything. I can name like 5 of the awards. I think that'd be another good quiz that I would probably fail that one hard.
You'd stump me on that right now. I couldn't pull it out of a hat and name all of them at the top of my head.
If you give me multiple choice, I could nail them probably.
Okay, ready right now. Okay, punter.
No,
I know this one.
Okay,
Ray
you know that one.
Ray guy. All right. I just wanted to go off the grid a little bit.
You could have given me a million guesses and wouldn't have come close. Nope.
Kicker.
I'm out.
Is it
the fan whipping out punter and kicker first? Is
Davey O'Brien?
Find me a more obscure one than punter and kicker. The Remington, maybe.
Tory Taylor
that would be probably what I would.
Is that Remington? Is that center?
Yeah,
it was.
Lou Groza would be your kicker one, Jake.
Okay.
All right. We save the quiz for later. We're going into the logos later. Let's go to the next slide. There is a opt-in, though, on the good side, and that is the Heisman, the most important trophy, I would say. I think if they would have come out and said they opted out, it would have been more of an uproar because the presentation has always been huge in this game. Obviously, it's the most well-known award in college football. It's the best player of the year. Everybody knows that. This is important. JP, good news.
Absolutely. It would be an odd college football game without this award in it, right? Like, what's more college football than that trophy right there? Or the branding behind that trophy or that stance, right? Like, that is college football in a lot of ways. Like, kids do that. They barely know, like, half the players or where these schools are or naming any of them, but they could do this post in their backyard when they're 6 years old. So this is massive. And it's just really cool to have because that's the whole reason you play Road to Glory and all that stuff is to get to the pinnacle. And I don't think there's that many people that export their player to Madden. I think a lot of them are in it for the college aspect and win the Heisman. So it's awesome to see that they're still kicking in there. The awards ceremony, like presentation and everything in the game, if they could like find a way to tweak that with the way they've done Madden and the show and 2K with all these, if they could make it really cool, I think that would be awesome.
I was gonna say, is the question, does EA try to go back to, they did it a couple of years, like in 07 and 06, where they actually had the player like accept the award. You guys remember that? Yeah.
That was an elite part of the game.
I thought it was a really, small, but like nice touch. Do they try to go back to that?
I would think so.
I think you can, right? I think they have the ability to.
I would think you have to, especially with what they've been putting out, like Madden and NHL. I'll say, I know like the race for the Calder as a team is huge, or Rookie of the Year is huge. and they show you give you social media updates through the year of the race. So I think they could really lean into this and put a presentation into it. And I really hope they do so. Rease, what do you take on it? Good news? Big Heisman Trophy guy?
I mean, if they weren't going to put it in, like you guys were talking about on Twitter, they'd probably find a nice way to rename it. They'd call it the Brisman Award or something like that. They'd find a way to get something in there for it to make it familiar.
Yeah,
that's the next topic for the episode. Replace the Heisman with a name. We'll have to come with a trophy and a name.
Joe Theismann Award.
That's how I was gonna say,
Nailed it.
Theismann. That's
Nailed
exactly
it.
what I thought.
just a rhyming podcast here. All right, last piece on college football 25. Chris Fowler with another hype video. And in that hype video, he talks about if you win the national championship, make playoff games with Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, you will get a special shout out. Is this just a move from EA because they know that this is probably going to be the most used team? I would guess so, especially with the new college football crowd that came in with his move to Colorado and the revival of that fan base. But what do you guys think of Coach Prime being the only one that gets a special shout out?
I think
JP,
it's more based upon Fowler graduating from the University of Colorado. That's how I took it. Guy's an alum. And so I think that's why you get the special one, because it's his alum. For him to say that, I bet in a video game would be super cool. So that's what I think about it. I don't think it's necessarily, it'll be Prime centered, but I think it's more because of the guy that's calling it went to the school. I don't know, Jake, if you took it the same way.
Well, I thought coaches were not in this game, so we're just gonna give.
But he would still. I don't know. I feel like he
How's that
could.
work?
He's got to afford that
That's a
mansion
good
to Son's
point.
bottom.
We're just gonna give the one coach a shout out for winning the national title, but these coaches aren't actually Coach Prime, but Coach Prime is actually John Smith.
Yeah,
They're
it's a
from
fat
EA.
white guy, and he's like, Coach Deion Sanders, and they show him. Yeah, that'd be a little off. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Did he give away? Maybe he's on the cover, so he's the only one in the game.
No, I truly think
What
it's
if?
just because of him going to the school,
Okay,
in my opinion. So
yeah, maybe
Diving.
we are deep.
But
diving.
he
That's what
could
the offseason's for.
possibly. Are they having a deluxe version of this game? Does anybody know the answer to that? Are they
I don't
having
know,
a
but
year
I'll buy
base
it.
version of deluxe? Maybe he's on the deluxe, but real possibility. No.
If Colorado wins the national title, I think I'm gonna ask for the game to return because it's so unrealistic. I'm gonna ask for my money back. I want a little more realistic game.
Oh no!
Nope.
Here come the
Georgia,
haters.
go with Georgia Southern. That's more realistic.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. That was fun. College football 25 updates for this week. Hopefully we have some more for you next week to talk through. But let's jump to another thing. An announcement came out from Fox. It's a proposed thing. It sounds like it's moving in the direction that it's actually going to happen, and that is Friday night college football. I don't know what we take on this. Obviously, you had the Tuesday night Maction, but college football on Friday nights, and this is going to include big games with how big these conferences are. I'm sure some of the conferences, ACC, Big 12, will opt into this slot. What do we think about Friday night college football, or should we save these big games all for Saturday? Jake, what do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a great appetizer for what always leads up to a great Saturday. The Pac-12 title game was always on Friday night. That always got me jacked up. Just because it was on Friday night doesn't mean I'm not going to watch Washington play Oregon. It got me excited. Everybody gets off work. Maybe you find yourself going to a bar and you have a couple of happy hour drinks, and all of a sudden you got a 7:00 kick of, I don't know. Yeah. Oregon's going to host Wisconsin or Ohio State or whatever they decide on Friday nights. I think it's a nice game. I really like it. They're not going to go and throw 4 games out there. It's probably going to be just one primetime game. And the Mountain West is playing usually Friday nights anyways, or some conference like that. So I don't think things change.
Speaking of things changing, hold on. This comment. Who's this? Who is
What's
this?
up, Burger Bud?
Get him.
Burger let
Yeah.
him fly early and often here.
Yeah, a burger boy. Go eat a burger, fat ass. I don't want to hear it. I'm trying to enjoy the show. It's a light start to the show. Leave me alone. Okay, JP, go ahead.
I was just going to say, first of all, shout out Austin Burger right there. Kid, dedicated listener, big Hawkeye fan. But
Sorry.
Shout out Austin, good guy.
I think it's more important for conferences like the Big 12, for conferences like the Mountain West, right? Let's get on national TV as a lone standalone. Let's make sure this conference stays in the spotlight, because whether we like it or not, probably over time, it'll probably get a little less shine whether like that's the way it was meant to be or not. It's just part of what you're changing. So I would love Utah, Oklahoma State Friday night, 7:30. Like,
Yep.
I'm not sure if there's a better way to start your weekend. Like,
Exactly.
because it is such a primer for what kicks off at 11 on Saturday, because Ohio State and let's just say Washington on Friday night, like that hits. Those are names, those will play, but it is just not the exact same. I think it needs to be very special, very niche. I think it needs to hit a bigger audience and really have a bigger goal in mind with what teams you throw on Friday night. Let's throw Iowa State, Texas Tech Friday night. Are you kidding me? And Lubbock are names on Friday night. Those places would be on fire.
You got to think who's playing it, because as I listed off Big Ten teams, I forgot that the Big Ten is now on CBS, right?
Correct. Yep.
So yeah,
but
what do you
CBS
got?
also holds the Mountain West.
Okay, so your Fox is probably going to be. I mean, at the moment, the Big 12 is the only team I can think of that's nobody else has a co-contract with Fox right now, right?
I don't think so, but I do think that they are promoting that, like the CBS is doing Friday night stuff anyway. So like you might get an overlap at 6, 7:30 or like a 7 or something like that. But nonetheless, like it is perfect for the Big 12. It's perfect for the Mountain West because they have leaned into it a little more often. But also like being on campus with all these Big 12 teams, just light a fire under people on a Friday for this kind of stuff, right? Like people will leave work early to go tailgate. I don't know. It just gives it an extra light that it deserves.
We talked about this before too, about how the NFL is really trying to own the Thursday night window. Like remember college football used to be so big on Thursday nights. The Big 12 had a Thursday night game. It felt like every
Was that
week.
On Versus?
No, not even Versus. It was like ESPN.
Do you remember that? Oh,
yeah, I do.
Versus Network was good.
It was.
I agree.
Versus multiple times. I do remember the Versus Network.
Would you rather them play on Versus or ESPN Plus?
Versus, for sure.
I think Versus is just a glorified CBS Sports Network. So yeah, I'd probably go Versus.
Yeah,
or isn't it like Stadium? Isn't Stadium now? That's kind of what took over Versus.
Who bought them out or what?
I thought it was Stadium.
They might have. You might be right. I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
I think wasn't the Versus Network, wasn't that just a spinoff of Fox Sports 1?
Versus was like Are
you sure it wasn't Fox
Sports? They did a lot of extreme sports on Versus, like bull riding and all your rodeo stuff. Then they did like college football and stuff like that.
If Iowa State,
little niche stuff.
If Iowa State was on TV in the mid till early 2000s, it was Versus, or you guys remember, like obviously Fox Sports North, Fox Sports Midwest before Bally bought those guys out. Like you had to pay to watch most of the games of the year, so we didn't. That's why we went to the game. Now. I mean, you pay for your basic YouTube TV subscription, and then
not to get ESPN Plus.
Okay, then your ESPN Plus, but everybody.
Yeah, everybody has that because it goes along with Hulu and Disney. So it's not really that big of an investment. Yeah.
We just need an ESPN Plus and YouTube TV partnership. That way, when we have the channels, it's all on one app. I hate switching apps to go to an ESPN Plus game. It's a gigantic pain in the ass. So
I agree with you there. 100%.
It stinks quite a bit, especially when it comes to college baseball, JP. There's a lot of games on college football. I mean, on ESPN Plus. But all right, let's jump to the last thing on recent news. Actually, there's two more pieces, but the other one leads into our transfer talk. Last piece is the revenue share discussion going on for the college football playoff right now. It's supposed to be finalized by the end of this week. But what they said right now, the last thing we saw posted was the Big Ten and the SEC would split 58% of the revenue, leaving 32 for the ACC and Big 12 to split. And then the other 10% would go to Notre Dame and other conferences. Obviously, it's a drastic split, the 58 and the 32. You give your tiny piece of the pie to the other conferences, which make up a bigger majority. It's a little shot at them, but it makes sense because the Big Ten and the SEC are most likely going to make up most of these teams. What's your take on it, Jake?
Yeah, Jake, go first. I am not. I have words for this proposal.
You're the socialized proposal.
I hate it.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of almost like the Big Ten and the SEC pointing the gun to the head and saying, take it or leave it. Like otherwise they're going to maybe form their own league. I I'm still holding on to where I think that's just impossible at this point. I think those two conferences forming their own league is just too complicated and just really impossible task. So I'm thinking this is all bluff. As a Big 12 fan, I don't have much to argue with it. I'm pretty realistic. I think I've made that transparent with us in our crowd that listens to us. I know where the Big 12 stands in recruiting. I know where the Big 12 stands on a national championship spectrum. Yeah, we're probably not going to fight with the big boys. Our two bids right now is probably a win for the conference. If anybody wants to make a fuss about it, it's probably the ACC, even though I think the ACC is equal to level with the Big 12. And I think a lot of people would have an argument with that because they think Florida State, Clemson, maybe even Miami, they think they're like national championship contenders. They think they recruit on that level. So I think the ACC, if they've got a problem with it, they need to do something about it. They need to have basically a better product. But right now, the Big 12, I don't think can leverage much. I think they're just happy to be alive at this point and not be in the Pac-12 situation. I don't know. Yeah, the Big 10 and the SEC are going to have the majority of the split. Of course they are. They have these mega conferences with these huge brands. Like, change it. If the ACC and Big 12 do something about it, start recruiting better. I don't really have an argument to it, honestly.
I have quite the opinion on this. I'll let JP roll first, but I mean, it's just, you wonder how they stumble upon these numbers. JP, what do you think?
I am so fine with the current model that has even revenue split for the 4 teams. I am even more so okay with splitting it 12 ways. Now, when you look at the numbers and you say, like, if the Big 10 has 4, the SEC has 3, or the Big 10 has 3 and the SEC has 4, whatever, you have 7 of the 12. That's the majority. 58% is the majority of 100. Yeah, right. Math checks out there. But you're not splitting that evenly, or you're splitting it evenly between those teams. The rest are getting less than that, in my opinion. Like, there is a pool of money here that could be split evenly to keep the sport alive, to keep things rolling, but we are not interested in that. They are interested in saying, we're the brands that matter. We're the ones people are clicking on this game to watch. We're the ones selling tickets, selling subscriptions, getting your viewers. And is that true for some part? Yeah, 100%. But when you auto kill brands and conferences and people like that, you are setting yourself up. I don't know if their long game here is to just make it to it's impossible for these other conferences to stick around, but it feels like that. Mm-hmm. And it is just annoying. Like, it's frustrating as all get out to watch this kind of thing go on. There's no reason that ACC or the Big 12 should get
the old cutout from JP's mic, but I know exactly where he's going. Go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, I wanted to say to JP's point, I completely agree. Is this all even ethical? Probably not, right? But at this point, like, as a Big 12 team, like, what are you going to do about it? You're 5'2", $160. Are you really going to try and punch the 6'2", 220 all muscle kid in the mouth? Like, until you can start punching at your own weight, hence viewers, hence recruiting, hence winning football games, winning at a national level, is there really anything you can do about it? Like, we've been down to, we witnessed it firsthand. We went down to Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is a sliver of SEC country. And most of us in the Midwest are just kind of an afterthought. Like, that's just being honest. That's what they think.
Insane, by the way, with what they call their environment down there. I saw it. It's not that impressive.
Well, it was more so Auburn fans that were actually telling us, not Iowa State and Iowa or not Arkansas. So I can't necessarily argue with them there. Auburn's, I mean, it's up at the cream of the crop.
I've heard it's pretty insane. Like, even when they're bad, I've heard that stadium is nuts.
Yeah, but
Arkansas wasn't very impressive. I will agree.
Does Auburn move the needle? Like if Auburn's playing Georgia Tech in a non-con, or if Auburn's playing I don't know, give me Kentucky. Is that a needle mover? No, it's not. So what's the difference between that and Iowa playing Nebraska or Iowa playing Iowa State? There's not one. I don't think so. It's simply, you can stick an SEC sticker on the back of their helmet and on the 25-yard line and be like, "Hey, SEC football game, come watch it." And people are like,
well,
"Oh,
JP,
the SEC."
I don't think it's Auburn, Kentucky, but it is Auburn, Texas. it is LSU, Oklahoma, so they're going to continue to add these big brands, probably a Florida State. It is an Auburn, Florida State. That's what's going to draw their eyes. And yeah, the Vandys, the Kentuckys, the Arkansas of the world, they're probably going to get pushed out the door. I mean, in all honesty, unless they can just hang around and be like, fine, I guess you've been around, you can stay. That's kind of the way I see it.
And then if mentioning that, Jake, you also have to keep in mind that I believe would back up then a different league. I mean, these aren't going to be NCAA teams anymore, because if you kick Vanderbilt out of the SEC, not only are we talking about football, they're leaving in baseball. And that is a massive brand, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in college baseball right now. So, I mean, if the Twindle effect is just leading us further and further down the line of not being an NCAA affiliated sport, which is crazy, but it is what it is at this point. And what a sour taste to leave in your mouth if you're the other conferences, like even the 32%, the drastic change between Notre Dame. Talk about trying to force them into a conference or any of their G5s. Like, you got to be thinking, man, that's really what they think of us. Like, if any of our teams get in,
I'm good with not being a part of the NCAA. I don't think teams are getting a fair shot to even stake their claim, to see their value. You're taking an example size from a playoff that was smaller and a non-playoff era is what you're taking this example size from, right? And you're taking Texas's worst era in a long time in the Big 12. Had Texas been good, you're probably not talking about the Big 12 that way. Had Oklahoma won one of those playoff games, you're probably not talking about the Big 12 that way, right? Like, let's let them have a shot before we start ripping money from them and then putting them 6 feet under before they even get a chance to build a ladder and get out of the damn hole.
And I still do see that, like, yes, realistically, is Iowa State sitting at the same table as, those national championship contenders at the SEC and the Big Ten? No. But I think if you still take that away, like the Big Ten and the SEC join their own thing or make their own playoff or whatever that looks like, I still think you lose those eyes of Arizona, of Iowa
100%.
State, of Cincinnati. Just the imaginary thought of even getting a chance is what catches eyes every weekend. I can tell you right now, my viewership, I wouldn't pay attention to a ton of it. I barely watch the NFL, but you know who I watch? I watch the Colts. I watch all my teams. Maybe I'll watch a Sunday primetime game. So I think they're going to lose all of those eyes.
Not only that, but what if JP, just like you were saying, imagine year 1 and 2 of this 12-team look. Group of 5 gets in and beats an SEC team. Just 1 in a million chance. Most likely not going to happen. Now what? Now what do the talks do? Now you give the G5 a leg to stand on. Now they can be in the discussion like, hey, what the hell? We're only getting 10% of this, but these people you're paying 58%, we're competing with them. So what's the deal? So they'd have to readdress it. And so it's probably going to be its own entity. I think also, you're right, JP, but go ahead.
Does the revenue share, so that just gets split as soon as they make the playoff? Like,
yes,
those 4 SEC teams are going to get that 58%. It doesn't matter if maybe TCU wins a game or 2 and they make the semifinal. They just get that 8% that the Big 12 gets.
No. They get that, and then whatever that happens after, they get on top of it. Okay. So like NCAA tournament model, right? You get an X amount for making the NCAA tournament, but if you win 2 games, you get money from that as well. So by win basis, basically. And going back to like you saying, like you would lose interest if like it was just the SEC and the Big Ten and then the rest of college football. Yeah, a lot of, like you're saying, a lot of people are going to lose interest, because what if my conference, let's just say for the Big 12, for example, what if I'm a Kansas State fan and we are no longer have any shot of playing in the SEC Big 10 schools, and on Saturday I play Houston at noon, and then at 6 o'clock I can see Oklahoma State's going up against Iowa State, or Georgia's playing Alabama at 6. Which one really affects me as a fan? Like, you're probably like, oh, that might be interesting to watch that SEC game, but it doesn't affect me at all. It has no effect on how I go about my fandom. You're going to over-regionalize this sport the wrong way, because we want regionality. We don't want this. This is different. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, it stinks. It's one of those things that you'll know that they're going to change. Hopefully they come to a decision by the end of the week, and we can kind of digress and talk more deep into it next week. But let's jump to the last piece before we go to our transfers, and that is we had a transfer portal move. Drew Pine, the former Notre Dame and Arizona State quarterback, commits to Missouri. He will most likely back up Brady Cook. I think we can all be in agreement on that. But what an interesting move. Third school, 3 years. JP, what do you think about Drew Pine's fit at Mizzou?
He must be promised the job when Cook leaves, but Jaden
Is he?
Rashada, welcome to the job. I don't know, but like, why Missouri, right? Like,
I don't
that's my
know.
point. It's like he must got to be promised something, or something's got to happen, because I assume they're going to get better recruits or have a shot to get a couple better ones if they have another good season. But maybe he was like kind of seeing the writing on the wall in Tempe and be like, hey, this kid, younger, probably a little bit better, a little more talented, higher upside. Let's just give him the job now. Go all the way through
Right.
spring. Probably had the plan handed to him. Like, here's how spring ball is going to go. And he goes, actually, I don't like that.
Well,
I think this, I'll say quick, I think this is what you call experience insurance, where
Yeah,
if Brady Cook
that's
goes
true.
down, this is where you're going to have Drew Pine, who's played at a high level and a Power 4 level. And we have to remain good in this conference. Otherwise, as the sport changes, you never know. But with where they were at last year, I think they just want to remember that mark. And this is experience insurance in my mind, Jake.
No, I think that's a great way to put it. You know, if Brady Cook ever goes down, can you put a spare tire in the car and still drive it to the finish line? Probably. I mean, he did that at Notre Dame. So who knows? I think he went to Arizona State. I'm pretty sure he committed to Arizona State before Rashada flipped from Florida. So do I necessarily blame him for trying a third time? No. But if I'm a Missouri fan, I don't think it moves the needle for me that Drew Pine's going to be, the future of of what seems like a good trajectory for 2024 and maybe 2025 for the Tigers.
I would agree with that. Let's go down to Rease. We haven't heard from him in a while. Rease, what do you think? You think he can make an impact in the backup position?
Trajectory?
Yeah, I probably did. See, that's why you're here,
That's what I
Reese.
was-
You're here to
I
correct my
wanted to say,
grammar.
I wanted to make sure. I was like, did
Trajectory.
he mean to say
Trajectory.
project or trajectory or whatever? I was like,
Trajectory. Thank you.
nobody else is going to say anything. I'll say something. Chase Daniel 2.0, anybody? If he's going to wear number 10 going to Missouri, never hurts to have a good backup. And you guys are all saying too, like, experience is a good thing to have, especially for a backup, because look at Florida State. If for any reason Cook goes down this year, and you have your backup going at the end of the year, even if that team was 13-0, they had a backup going. They're not the same team. So having this guy come in, he's not Cook, but he's still a guy, like you keep saying, he's played at a high level. He's played at the University of Notre Dame, and he has experience. So, like, maybe that keeps him in a conversation. So it's just a smart move for a coaching staff, I think, to get a guy who has played the game more than other guys. So
I hope Drew Pine somehow is listening to this podcast, because a comparison or
Shout out,
somewhat
Drew.
relation to Chase Daniel with his quality of play is quite the compliment. He's probably never received anything like
What
that
is that?
before. So
What's that look like for these kids that are transferring in the middle of March? Like, do they work out? Like, are they not going to take classes until next semester?
Jake, don't worry about the classes. They'll figure it out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not.
they ain't going to play school.
yeah, that's true. That is I'm sure they
You can
caught
get
him
an
right up.
Education anywhere.
Sure, he
Just a
didn't miss
heads
a
up,
test.
parents.
I'm sure he's eligible. He's eligible. I know that. He is eligible. All right, let's go to our 2 transfers you might have forgotten about. We just want to remind you, there's big names out there that landed big places. We used to cover it every week. It slowed down with the dead period, but we just want to remind you of a few names. We each have 2 for you that you could see make an impact next year. Let's lead it off with JP. JP, take us through your 2 names.
Absolutely. I think the first one here with Tyler Van Dyke, Miami to Wisconsin, is just one you're going to hear a lot in Big Ten country. Obviously, Iowa will play Wisconsin every year, but a Wisconsin team with Fickle that's really trying to get their feet under them as a program. Guy's a gunslinger, for good or bad. Like, he's going to be a guy that they lean on to bring veteran experience. And it's just interesting to see this kind of move for Wisconsin, because of the issues he's had with the turnovers, right? Fickle doesn't want to play that way. He's usually got teams that don't beat themselves, but it is a risk that he's willing to take right now. And so Van Dyke to Wisconsin is one to pay attention to. And then on the other side, I have Silas Bolden. This is a guy coming from Oregon State, a very talented receiver, to a very talented now mostly transfer room for Texas in the wide receiver room and tight end room, and is going to play for one of the better quarterbacks in the country, right? This is a guy who has put up elite numbers. Last year, over 750 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. Obviously, this is in an offense in Oregon State that's a little more run heavy. But DJU was able to get him the football. The year before, he was under 300 yards, I believe. And so better quarterback, better teams, he's just continued to rise and get better and better. So that's one to pay attention to, but I got a feeling he's going to be obviously not as talented as what they had with like A.D. Mitchell and all these other guys, but he's going to be a guy who gets a lot of receptions and the ball thrown his way a ton. So pay attention to that one because he will make a lot of news in college football game day, like graphics, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I couldn't find the right way to say it.
I really like the
That
Silas Bolden play because I that is a perfect example of I forgot about that. I mean, you hear Isaiah Bond, all these other big names going to Texas. Silas Bolden, extremely talented, had a great year at Oregon State, and he's going to make an immediate impact over there with experience at a Power 4 level. So that's a good one, JP. Moving on to the next one, that is Rease. Take us through yours.
So first of all, I went with Aiden Childs, a name that now people know because he didn't play it all last year, or he played a handful in games for Oregon State behind DJU. But followed his coach, Jonathan Smith, to Michigan State, the former 4-star. And he's just going to go to a program where they're not really well known right now and going into the Big Ten where they're just going to be a huge question mark. And he's going to be the highlight of that team and that offense, I think, going forward. So he's just going to be an interesting guy to pay attention to because, like I said, people don't know him because he didn't play last year much. So keep your eye on this kid. He's big. He's 6'3", 210. Going to be a great player there. And then the other one I went with Jabbar Muhammad, leaving former in-conference now to across state lines, going to Oregon. One of the top defensive backs in the Pac-12 last season, played in a national championship. And if Oregon really wants to become a dominant force in the Big Ten, you got to be able to play good defense. And why not go get one of the best defensive backs from that conference? And people forget, like, yeah, he was great, but also because he's practicing against Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and all those guys, and going against Michael Penix in the spring and in the fall. Those guys every day. So he's just going to be that much more prepared when he does get to Oregon and take over, I think, as well, too. So
it's a good addition there, Muhammad. I mean, what a class landing put together in the transfer portal wise. That, I believe, is the 3rd ranked class overall. But let's go on, and I believe this is me, Jaden Mavia, the UNLV transfer. He ends up at USC. This was a weird story. I don't remember. It was just like a couple days span. You saw him, get crystal ball to USC. Then all of a sudden commits to Georgia. Then flips it back to USC. So as a guy that bounced around, couldn't make a decision whether or not he wanted to compete with Carson Beck. I'm sure that was a part of his decision. But this is a dude that made up 60% of an offensive production from a team that won 9 games from a program that really – it doesn't really touch 9 wins a year. So you saw his talent. He'll bring a lot to that USC team. It's going to be, I don't know if he'll start. I really don't, but I assume we'll see him in some sort of formations or schemes from Lincoln Riley's squad in the Big Ten. And not a guy that I was super excited to get to join the Big Ten. What do you think, JP? I mean, he's pretty talented. He could be a threat.
Hey, not worried about him.
That's an Iowa answer. That's hopefully we get to that point, but I wouldn't be worried either. Good call. And then my other one, Trevor Etienne. He just came out last week, and so maybe that was a reminder. But with the talk that he had, I think he was on some sort of podcast or show where he just said, "I can either compete to be a backup and win 6 games a year at Florida, or I can go start down here and have a chance to win a national championship, and that is at Georgia." And he's obviously going to make an immediate impact, most likely going to be running back 1 down there. Super talented kid, stays within the SEC, and he's definitely going to be a household name that you see every Saturday, and also joining JP on the college football game day graphics.
Yeah, never welcome back at Gainesville again, by the way.
He took some shots when he left. He didn't leave in a good manner. So that definitely is true. Moving on to the last 2, Jake, take us through them.
Yeah, let's start with Mavia's, or I guess his replacement, Malachi Nelson, the former 5-star from USC. I think this one's super interesting. Number 1, he's a top 50 transfer in college football, was the number 13th ranked player in his class, was the number 2 ranked quarterback in his class. Didn't have a ton of experience that he's bringing to Boise. Transfer into Boise State with first-year head coach Spencer Danielson. He was the interim in the last 3 weeks and then won that conference title game. And he's taken over with Ashton Jeanty returning as well. So there's kind of some star power out in Boise. It's just, can Nelson put it together? I put this down as kind of an underrated, or maybe you forgot about, because maybe this is the group of 5 team that makes the college football playoff this year. And we're talking about Malachi Nelson every week next December. So I think that's why I really wanted to highlight him here. Does he make it out? We will see, because the rumors and the murmurs going around LA were he just wasn't ready. Like that's why Miller Moss played in the bowl game. That's why it's assumed that Miller Moss might be the starter next year. Maybe Mavia, we'll see, but it didn't sound like Nelson was ready. So is he mature enough this offseason? Can he get some things right that he's ready for Mountain West football by the fall? And then secondly, I wanted to highlight Juice Wells, man, because like this was a guy last year that I think some people had a top 5 receiver in all of college football. He gets hurt. I think he only had like 3 receptions last year. He might have played in 2 games. I'm not exactly sure. He was a preseason first teamer in the SEC. There was no doubt about it. And he has over 2,300 yards in his career at South Carolina. So he's coming in under the radar that people kind of forgot about. And Ole Miss might go down as probably the best receiving core in college football this year with Trey Harris and company. So just an absolute, we love to talk about the defensive transfer portal additions that Ole Miss has made, but this might go as under the radar as probably their best get. We might be talking about in November too. So those are the 2 I wanted to highlight.
JP, did your eyes raise at the best wide receiver room in college football?
No, not really.
Really?
I was just saying I
think that's
I thought about putting Juice Wells on here, but I was like, I don't know, I'll go a different direction. But I'm happy Jake got him on here because I thought about it.
Jake did do the double check of, does anybody else have these? And shockingly enough, nobody did. So we found
I did see the audible on your end, Parks.
I did audible. Well, I didn't want to go too chalk. I did want to talk about Evan Stewart, which that is the best college football wide receiver room. But then Jamal Banks, leading receiver at Wake Forest the last 2 years, 59 catches last year. Nebraska's leading receiver last year had like 12 catches. So I think it's a big addition for Nebraska. I didn't want to stay too homerish, and I wanted to add a G5.
That's not chalk. Yeah, that's not chalk, I wouldn't say.
Also, good on Rease.
From the home.
Yeah.
Good on Rease for throwing in a defensive guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, nobody else did.
One defensive guy in there.
I just feel like a lot of the names that came out of the portal are like massive defensive names. Like a certain amount that'd be under the radar. Maybe to me, under the radar is like, oh, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that guy. But like a lot of these defensive guys, your average fan or whatnot's not going to, it's not going to click in their head. So, but I do like the one Rease went with because that does make sense. That's a name that's going to pop.
I almost went with Mr. Finley coming up here to the Syracuse, but I was like, I'll go Jabbar Muhammad.
You could have. That's another good one. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of transfers out there. If you haven't had a chance, look them up because there's going to be a lot of people making on-field impacts.
We're a month away from another window. So.
It's gonna be disgusting. I can see my Twitter feed blowing up.
It's gonna be a little messy. It's gonna be a little messy, but we'll cover you all through that. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're here. Let's go to the point of tonight's episode. Very, very important to us: the branding, the logo recognition. Let's go to Rease. Let's create the diehard fan logo number 1. Rease. The way it'll work is I'll pull it up. You'll have your chance. Think through it. We can talk you through it. Maybe give you a hint or two. But JP came up with 3 of these. Schaefer came up with 3 of these. And then the 4 I made for the team are kind of fun. But let's start with this one, Rease.
30-second timer.
This is your team. Shit. Yeah. No 30-second timer. Just think your way through it.
Mine. That one was mine.
We can give you a hint.
No, look it in the comments just in case somebody in the comments knows it.
I can't look in the comments.
If somebody in the comments knows it, I'll Venmo them $5.
I would be shocked if they didn't know.
Congratulations on losing $5.
It's got to be FBS. I assume
we have 27 people that there's no way. Nobody's as sick as you two.
Who the hell are the Owls? Kennesaw State?
Boom, baby. You got it.
Let's go.
Let's go, Rease. Come on. That's good.
Not in the form of a question, Rease. We got to answer with confidence.
Yeah, what is? No, that is Kennesaw State. They are joining the Conference USA. They will be in College Football 25. Great pull from Rease. We're starting off 1 for 1. Yep, no, he did. He's just thinking it through. Pokemon brain, baby. Let's go. All right, on to logo number 2. Logo number 2.
Oh,
Rease, what you got here?
This is so familiar to me. They're like they're the Red Hawks. Red bird or something.
Bird. That would be a bird.
Yeah, I know it's a bird.
It's a bird. Don't think too deep. You got it. It's a tough one. This is tougher, I would say.
I want to say like something in Illinois.
If I'm trying to, for those who are listening on podcasts, I kind of want to try to describe it to you.
No. I've muted myself so I don't say anything.
No,
logo.
if you're listening on Apple,
We
Spotify,
do need to
tune
do
in
better on
Tuesday nights
like people who
live.
listen to just the pod when we put stuff up because we never like to say what we're actually looking at. We gotta do better.
Let me give you a hint. I'll
Watch
give
the
you a
show.
hint, Reese. I'll give you a hint here. For those who are listening on podcast, this is a red bird that is the logo, and they are located in the state of Texas.
This is important detail of this red bird.
Incarnate
It has
Incarnate Word.
it has a red beak. There you go.
Way to
That's
give it
important.
up there.
I had to throw
a hint. He
I had
did
to
get
throw
it.
him a
though.
hint.
If you and I would never have gotten that. I was gonna
Reese,
guess
I
like Southern
respect it.
Illinois or something.
I do respect even the Texas poll is impressive. Honestly,
You gotta-
Well, I know
work.
Incarnate Works. It's in San Antonio, and that's where I was for 16 weeks for medic stuff.
Oh
And-
my
Jeez,
god!
hometown
Personal
team
tie.
can't even get a hometown team right. What are we
Here's
doing?
another fun
Hey.
fact: Incarnate Word beat Nebraska in basketball like 8 years ago. There's a fun fact.
Important
got, Gene?
note on the logo of Incarnate Word. It's actually one of the only Cardinal logos that has the beak in the correct color in red.
Mhm.
The rest of them usually have yellow. So like that's pretty telltale
Hey.
sign. Incarnate
That's
Word.
just teams wanting
Look it up.
multiple colors.
Now
but
it's
you are
burned in my
correct.
conscience forever, Jordan.
All right, Reese. Moving on to logo 3. You're 2 for 2 with an asterisk, maybe a
One
Michigan
and a half.
asterisk with the
1
hint.
and a half.
But 2 for 2. Let's move on to logo 3. What do we got here? Schaefer, take us through your audible description.
Oh, okay. My audible description for those who are
It's like a
listening
big
on
orange
podcast.
stripy dog.
Yeah, it's a big
like
orange
it's like
stripy
Clifford
dog.
size.
It's like Clifford size.
Sometimes people would call it a tiger. Sometimes it might be the cousin of a tiger.
Is this a
Are you giving
HBCU?
nicknames away?
They are in the JP. Help me out here. Are they in the Big Sky Conference? Okay, got the conference right. This is a tiger in the Big Sky Conference. For those who
I don't think I can name the Big Sky teams in the Big Sky Conference.
play in a dome.
My mind wanted to go to Grambling State, but that ain't right.
The Big Sky. Reese, could you name a team in the Big Sky Conference? Well,
No,
pretty regional conference. If I get okay,
on the top of my
I'll
head, I could not.
give you one.
They play in a dome.
Is JP help me out again? Is Eastern Washington in the Big Sky?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Eastern Washington is
yeah.
in the Big Sky. So there's a region for you.
Doesn't help me, man. Idaho Vandals.
Wait. That was very close. Just think a
Idaho
little
State
deep.
something.
Boom, baby.
Idaho.
We'll put an asterisk next to it. That is Idaho State. That
Yes.
is the Bengals of Idaho State. That is a good pull. You got the half of it. That's another half point. We're up to 2 full points. And honestly, you're not sounding too dumb. So that's a success in my mind. Let's move on to the
67%
fourth
for
question.
those 2 out
These
of
are multiple
3.
choice. I'd still be screwed, I think.
Yeah, they're tough ones, but we're moving on to JP's logos that he gave in for you to be tested on. Question 4.
Georgetown.
Ooh, I wish.
Butler.
You got the mascot right.
I
Or-
guarantee you're
Bulldog.
guessing the right
Drake?
animal.
I think I found
Great.
out what I don't even know, JP. I think I found out where this team is even from, like what state
Sanford?
they're in.
Boom, baby! He's on an absolute roll. This kid knows his sports. They just qualified for the NCAA tournament
I was gonna
yesterday.
say
So
they
when
won
popped up
yesterday.
in news, I was like, "Oh God, maybe he'll see it and it'll just click in his mind."
How
But
the
you are
hell
correct.
did I pull that? I don't know.
Did
where
they,
that came from my hippocampus,
Are they
but
from
that's fair.
Alabama or Georgia?
Georgia.
Georgia, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's the Bulldog
Duck
battle. It's
Hodges.
Claymore. Yeah, no, they're in the members of the SoCon conference. Reese gets it. Reese has got 4.
He's
out
3 for
there?
4. He's
I'm
75%
3 out of 4,
right
yeah.
now.
All right, moving on to question
Two out of
5.
four,
Reese, who is this?
That's New Mexico State. New Mexico. Somebody out west. I swear to God, it's somebody out west.
So it is.
No, it's so close to that New Mexico State logo. So I'll give you
It
a pat.
is.
That's not who it is, but that's like as close.
not
as
who
you
it
can
is?
get. Yeah.
Shit.
No.
It's not. Yeah,
It ain't West.
Midwest East would be your hint there.
Southeast. Probably be a better.
It's in like
I don't even know.
Appalachia.
I don't know. This one's probably gonna throw me for a loop. I'm trying to think of that color scheme.
It's a tough one.
You
It-
might see a lot of their regular logos as just the abbreviation of the school. I don't normally see this logo actually used too often.
One Dan Patrick went there.
He did.
Yeah.
I probably gotta throw the towel in on this one. I don't think I can't even render a hint. I guess.
Jake, you got it?
First one he threw the towel in. Jake, tell us the answer.
God, I don't even know if I'm 100% right. Is it Eastern Kentucky?
There you go.
Attaboy, Jake.
All
He is correct.
I almost said,
Oh,
I almost said Western Kentucky. If I would have said that, you guys would have been like, oh,
That would have been close. It
like
would have been
Kentucky
close.
State, Kentucky Tech.
Nickname, Jake.
By the way, my hint was Midwest East. If you just go East Coast Midwest, I mean that's Kentucky, man. That's the best they can do for you.
See if Jake can get the nickname.
Yeah, Jake, what do you got?
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah,
Rodeo.
it's Colonel
Is it-
Sanders,
oh,
brother.
it's the Colonels. I was
Yeah.
gonna say Aggies because it looked like an Aggie.
That's a
Colonel
good
Kentucky
comparison. I
Sanders.
never thought of that. Yeah, that's a good comparison. All right, Reese, moving on to your last one targeted just towards you. Who is this?
Oh, this looks like what? This is like a dodgeball
What?
team.
For those who are listening,
Dodgeball team.
it is a red and blue.
Hornet?
Would some say a hornet?
Correct.
Some would say a wasp.
Some would say a
Somebody would
jacket.
say a
Some would say
hornet.
a wasp.
They would say a hornet. That is correct. So
It
you
is a
have
hornet.
nickname.
Some would say an ugly ass looking bee.
It looks like one of those made up logos you would pick in Madden for like
Like a generic creative
Yeah.
team. That's exactly
Is
right.
this
There's some
team
off NFL
in
Street.
Is this team in the MEAC? No.
Yeah, I can't even. I'll not even try it. I have no idea.
Jake, what do you think?
I know what it is. I just don't know what conference they're in.
I have no
Well,
idea.
who is it? I'm asking you who it is because Reese deflected.
It's Delaware State.
Yeah, that is correct. They are in the
Yeah.
MEAC, by the way. I was shaking my head.
Jake.
JP!
I
Good
forgot.
luck
I don't
now,
know.
Reese.
They're not a MEAC team. I think of.
Fair enough.
I don't
but-
pick them as.
I was
a
over here
MEAC
going-
school.
but I didn't want to give it too much away. But yes, you are correct, Schaefer. That is Delaware State. And now we get to move to the open floor. I'm the only one that knows these. The
How are
first
we
one up-
doing this?
I'm telling you right now. The first one
You do
up,
a final answer. One of us puts a final answer.
I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to start with Reese. Then I'm going to go to Jake. And then I'm going to go to JP because JP will most likely get these all. He's a smart person. But let's start with Reese. This first one I'm going to show you is part of a logo. It's not the full logo.
We're doing
but it's
dozen
the
trivia
background
style
of it.
here.
So what is this logo?
Oh, jeez.
Oh
Is
shit!
Reese supposed to answer this one?
Oh,
Yes,
shit.
Reese first. Reese gets a
Okay.
guess first.
on,
Is that part of,
Reese.
is
Jake's
that part
got
of
this one.
Tulsa? Is that Tulsa?
That is correct, Reese.
Good
Good
job,
job. That is the
Reese. Good
background of
job,
Tulsa. That
Reese.
is
Come
very
on.
impressive. Now, the next three, I do not have
Oklahoma.
answer slides prepared because I didn't want anybody peeking. So the next three, these are same process. Reese will get the chance, then Jake, then JP. Reese, what is this team? This is a throwback logo. There should be
I'm
two
guessing
big
it's
ones that
not-
pop in
I'm
your
guessing
mind.
It's not Oregon.
That is not Oregon. Jake, your guess, please.
God, that's the only one that I came up with in my head. What is
Getting the
that? I don't
brains
even know what that is. Is it a
looks
U
like
and an
gold.
O? Is it like a U and an O? Oh my god, what the fuck?
It's a tough one.
I want to. Is it part of a logo or that is their old retro
That's
logo?
that's the retro logo. That's the whole logo. Pretty clean.
And that's the color
J-
scheme.
JP, do you have a guess or do I have to take a guess? Or do you know or do I have to take a guess here?
No, you have to guess. But
Do you know?
if this is a
what
retro logo. I'm battling it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a retro logo. I wanted to create a little. We need a little toughness. in
Wait,
here.
is this Division 1 FBS? So I'm not like thinking outside the spectrum, am I?
That's a big hint to give away, but yes.
Okay. Well, not really, because I was like, at least think of just FBS teams if I were going to think of one.
You just got to pull color schemes and the letters.
Yeah, the
It's
color
really-
scheme. I mean, I just look at the color scheme and think
I mean, color scheme.
You-
I think of Notre
you-
Dame, but that ain't it.
that's what I'm gonna go USF if we're going color scheme.
That is incorrect, Jake. JP, do you have it?
I thought you were doing partial stuff, so my immediate thought was it was a Celtic knot for Notre Dame.
That's what I thought too.
It looks
yeah.
very similar to that. It could
Yeah,
be the
like,
same
it looks
font,
like a
but it is
Celtic
not
knot
Notre
for
Dame.
it.
I'll give you the hint that's going to give it all away. Jake, maybe you
No,
can answer it
no.
for us.
No. Hold on.
Hold
on,
on. We're
failing
deep
to.
thinking.
For
Oh,
those
Wait,
who
Jake,
are
you already got
listening-
your guess. It's JP's guess.
I know. I'm.
Do they
Yeah.
play FBS or FCS football?
I asked that. He said
They play
FBS.
FBS football.
All right, go through
No, they don't.
conferences and color schemes. ACC. Anybody?
I thought like Mountain West was like, for those who are listening, it's a U in what looks like an
It's
an oval.
It's an oval O.
Yeah, and it's green and what
We're missing
appears
a
to
letter in there
be-
somewhere is what's happening.
It appears to be. Oh, JP, hold
It's
on.
Notre Dame
on.
colors.
Hold on. You might be onto something.
You were
There's
not
an H.
missing a letter.
Oh,
I was gonna say,
but those
it's
are
this guy.
letters.
Let's get sideways from my laptop upside down.
Like,
Those
if I
are
look at it this
letters. No,
way,
It's a hieroglyphic.
Yeah, they're both letters. Yes, correct.
Colorado State.
no,
No,
brother.
that
You just
you
said they
came
were
out of nowhere.
letters. Where'd you get Colorado State
Well,
from?
I'm thinking color scheme at this point. That's what I'm stuck on.
I'll tell you this: the secondary color is not used very often today. It is. It's
Well, which
still in
one's
their
the secondary?
logo. Well, the non-primary one, which is the green, so the gold. It's
Oh, I
still
know
in
it,
their
I know it.
logo.
It's the
Yeah.
Notre Dame colors.
University of Alabama, Birmingham.
That is incorrect.
Oh,
man.
good guess,
That's
JP.
a good poll, though.
That was a good guess. That was probably
Baylor.
the best guess we've seen. No.
I don't
You
know,
ready
man.
for the hint?
I'm
Can we
out.
finalize it up?
Yeah.
Sure.
Jake,
Yeah,
this
I'm not
team
sure.
beat Iowa State in 2023, and they're light years behind college football.
Ohio?
This is the University of Ohio.
Why
Red
does that look
throwback
gold?
logo.
Damn, I was on it with.
It-
I was on it
it's
with
the exact
oh,
same gold as the face of the cat, or the bobcat.
No
Tim.
shot. Oh,
It
dude, the
is.
gold in the background makes it look
Nice.
gold and not brown.
What are
Oh.
we doing? What are we
Yeah.
doing?
Shit.
What are we
Yeah,
doing?
University of Ohio.
that's a good one.
It's a
Ugh.
tough poll. It's a fun logo, but that's good. I like to make you think.
Why that's not on their baseball hats is beyond me, by the way.
It's a great logo. I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't make the comparison to Notre Dame like Jake did, I think, but that is a very close font, very close type.
I think it's that
All
same
right, moving to
colors.
the next
All
one.
right, we are
Same
not
process.
missing the next one. We're not
Reese,
missing the
Jake,
next one.
JP, Reese up first. Reese, who's this? This is
Sam
part.
Houston State.
Thank
job,
you,
Reese.
Jake. Thank you very much, Reese. It's just part of their
Best
logo. They
football
always have the
stadium in
SBA.
college.
I should have put the old Sam Houston paw in the middle to make it a little bit more difficult, but that is correct. Sam Houston State, one of the newer members of the FBS, but good call, Reese. Moving on to the final one. This does have blank typed in the middle of it. I believe this one will be more targeted towards Reese. JP, you'll know it, and Schaefer, as a basketball guy, maybe you will too.
That's Alcorn State.
Let's go, Reese. Dude, he's pretty good.
Come on, dude. Yeah, pretty damn good.
Reese.
We may not have to create a diehard as hard as we thought because that's a
Ooh,
very good guess.
I don't know. That was some surface level stuff in some spots. We could dig.
I don't know. Surface level. I think we are giving ourselves too much,
You're
not
making-
enough credit with the knowing of the logos. Like, there's not that many people out there that could get most of them.
If you showed that Delaware State logo to people, you would not. People, 10 out of 10 people on the street aren't getting that logo.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think they're more difficult. We just are passionate about what we do. So that was fun. Very good, Reese. I thought you put on a nice show for everybody. But that's pretty much the point of
Hold
tonight's
on.
episode.
Can I ask one more question before we
What's
go?
next?
We're
Who's
just
that?
we're just at an
We go
hour.
back to this?
We're just at an hour. No, not on that. I want to ask Reese a question. Let's
Okay,
stray
Reese.
away from
What's up,
logos.
Shafe?
Somebody pull me out of us three. Let's pull a Power 5 school. And Reese has got to name the hometown or the town, the city
Okay.
of that.
I don't know if I can do
Wait.
this.
Power
Wake
5.
Forest.
Power 5's usually easier. Oh, yeah.
Wake Forest.
Huh? That's in North Carolina.
Yep.
That's a state. Yep.
Tobacco Road.
You ain't gonna
Light
get a
herb.
city. Me, I don't know. Nate, Raleigh.
What if I
Nate,
said
Raleigh.
it's a city with a hyphen, like it's blank dash blank?
Now I remember. Now I'm appreciate you helping me out there.
North Carolina?
God, that was a tough one to throw at him right away.
People,
JP.
there's like a lot of stories you grew up learning about these trials.
Something dash?
People were convicted as being, you know what, they were burned at the stake.
Oh, I'm thinking Salem witch trials. Like, that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, Winston Salem.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
This kid,
yeah,
I'm telling
yeah.
you, don't let the kid heat up. Don't let the kid heat up. All right, who's got another one? JP, you got one for him?
I was
you
gonna
just
say,
got one.
can you
Yeah.
do what about just Duke? Yeah, Reese.
Go
down the road.
No, it's North Carolina again, but Chapel. No, it's North Carolina. That's North Carolina.
Yeah.
NAIA football national championship city.
Yeah. Wasn't that in
Raleigh. That was in
No.
Raleigh,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Nope.
That was in Raleigh.
they did.
No, it wasn't.
They're like 2 minutes apart of this other city.
If somebody in the comments can get it before me,
It's pretty close to the guy's last name who does the ventriloquism with Walter the puppet.
Durham.
Nice. There you go.
Quit
And
giving
that
me
is the
hints.
host city of the
Quit giving me
NAI
hints.
all national title. That is
I'm
it is
smart.
Durham, North Carolina. That's very good.
I got one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Washington State.
Great town. Rains a lot.
Wazoo. The former home of Cam Ward.
Correct.
What did he like to do there?
That's correct.
Where did he spend his time?
Mike Leach, Gardner Minshew. What did they do there? Small amount of peas.
Rains a lot.
Small amount of peas.
It rains a lot in Oregon. There's forests and stuff. They're on the coast.
Good thing this is in Washington.
Ah,
This is definitely not on the coast, by the way. This city.
I have no idea. I'm not
If you're
gonna.
gonna wrap a guy, you know the dance move where you like,
Fulham.
throw it and you're gonna what did you say?
Fulham. I don't know.
Oh,
Fulham.
no, it's very close.
Pullman.
Wait. Yes.
Pullman.
Yes. Let's go. We got there. I don't know what
Context clues. We can get there.
I don't know how we got there off of that, but yeah.
I don't know either. I didn't even finish
Pullman.
the hint. That was very good. All right. That was a fun episode. Reese, we're going to continue to create your diehard fan. We'll maybe test some more logos, get a little bit deeper. Maybe we'll go more of the side pieces of the logos or throwback logos because we're that good. But Ohio stumped the boys tonight. It was a fun episode. We covered a lot. We'll see you again next week. Any closing thoughts from the group?
Till next
I'm
week.
happy to be
Nope.
here.
Yeah, very happy to be here. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us on all platforms
Like,
at
comment,
Play the
subscribe.
Fight Pod. All those things. Follow us on all platforms at Play the Fight Pod. On TikTok at Play the Fight Song. Weekly chirp to Jake. Nice branding air.
Thanks for viewing,
Jake.
everybody.
Yeah, we love you all. Jake, take us away.
Play it.